Hello and welcome to our webinar on the SAP Security Baseline Template that helps you protecting your SAP systems, the whole SAP environment. My name is Jens Kettler. I'm with VOQUZ Labs, and here I'm responsible for our risk and compliance products. We have two, one for authorizations and one for monitoring business processes and protecting you from errors and frauds. VOQUZ Labs also has solutions for optimizing your SAP licenses and an offering to help you on your journey to S/4HANA on-premise or in the cloud. But today, we speak about the SAP Baseline Security Template. And for that, we have an expert as a guest, so a good friend and partner, and I'm very happy to welcome Alexander Zellner from SmarterSec. Hey, Alexander.
Hi, Jens. So thank you very much for having me. So it's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, I'm looking really forward for today. Talking about the SAP Security Baseline Template with you, and hopefully bring our listeners some values in our talk today.
I hope so, and great to have you. Thank you for joining. Maybe you want to do a short introduction of yourself and your company, SmarterSec?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Alexander Zellner. I'm the managing director and one of the co-founders at SmarterSec. So we are a managed security service provider for SAP, basically taking a 360-degree approach, securing SAP environments in certain areas from system configuration over ABAP coding, interfaces. So the whole bunch that's really needs attention in the SAP environment when it comes to securing it. We are taking care of. And we are not only delivering our own software solutions to customers where we can automate the analysis of the SAP systems, but we are also offering it as a managed service, meaning that we are also doing the operation of the software and basically taking all the tasks away from the customer that he doesn't want to do. And that's what we stand for.
Or even maybe is short in resources, right? I think there's a big shortage in SAP security experts and cyber security experts in general. So having a partner who has all the expertise and who has all the best practices from many customers, that certainly helps to get a quick start into this area and to accelerate your journey to a secure environment.
Yeah, exactly. So we have around 2 or 3 million open places for cybersecurity experts in the world. So
wow.
This is definitely a topic that needs to be addressed, and where we see also a niche at the moment for our services and products in that case, because most of the cases, small and medium-sized organizations normally don't have the resources, as you just said. And the more you go away from Waldorf in Germany, the less the SAP experience becomes. So that's just something that we realized in the past. So also the thing, securing SAP systems can be very complex. And that's where we support our customers.
True. And actually, you brought some numbers and information about why actually one should bother about securing the SAP landscape. What is the threat and what's at risk, right?
Yeah.
Walk us through that.
Yeah, there are some impressive numbers, and I just took the analysis of Bitkom, which I think is always a trusted source for me, where you get really relevant information, and also the president of the BSI. So for all non-Germans, it's the Federal Agency for Security in Information Technologies. So also the German version BSI is much shorter. And we can see in this research, it's also addressed by the BSI, and we just see some crazy numbers, in my opinion. And the first topic is the rising costs for cyber attacks. So the third year in a row, we are above the line of 200 billion euros in losses, and that's a huge number. And we also have a rising fear within organizations. So 52% feel their existence threatened by the growing number of cyber attacks. And this is something me personally also believe threats are becoming more and more and more. So this is not a typical situation that will stop next year or in 2 years. So it will increase further. And I believe it's always not good to have fear, but you should have respect what's coming there, because attackers are not stopping evolving, and that's an important thing.
Where do they come from?
Rising threats, right, from Russia and China. That's also something we can always see in the news. And when you look at the map below, you see we have around 12% rise in attacks from China. We have much more in Russia. So they are increasing, yeah. And in this case, we just see the numbers that have been reported. So there is also some numbers that haven't been reported. And I believe this dark number is much, much higher. Yeah. So
right, and these are things you say that were detected, right, and reported.
Yeah,
both, right? It's possible to have the known unknown and the unknown unknown.
Yeah, we don't know the unknown, so yeah. But it will be much, much higher, my personal opinion. In that.
Yeah, and even detection is difficult. I think your next slide shows this. I think these are really terrifying numbers.
Yeah, exactly. So when you look at the data breach lifecycle that comes from IBM, we see it normally takes 212 days, right, to detect the data breach, right? And that's what I see as normal nowadays, because when you do an audit once a year, that should be maybe in these numbers, and then you should fit in this category. And you also need 75 days to contain this breach, which summarizes it to 287, and this is from January 1st until October 14th. It's a very long period, and I personally, as a managing director, this number is too high, and for us personally, we take measures against it internally, because for us, if something happens, and of course we get attacked as well. I believe every organization gets attacked nowadays one day. So we took measures where we directly monitoring our systems, not our only SAP, but also our IT environment.
So what are you doing, and what should SAP customers do, and how do you help them?
Yeah, so I think a good start is when we take a look at the next slide, that we start with the SAP Security Baseline Template. It will be delivered for free by SAP, or not delivered, you need to download it, but that's a minimum step. And what is it exactly? It's basically the minimum standard or the minimum security requirements for all SAP customers. For all organizations using SAP, this is a must do, right? So SAP calls it baseline. And yeah, you have to fulfill the best practices that were given with the SAP Security Baseline. And it's not a question of should I do it? It's definitely a must to do it.
And that's true for both like development or test systems, but also for production, right? In the same way, it's really for all systems, not just for production systems, for instance.
Yeah, and all kinds of systems, right? So we are talking about ABAP systems. You also get recommendations for Java, HANA systems, also nowadays for SAP Business Technology Platform. So yeah, and as said, it's the baseline. And if you are going to start with SAP Security, then that's the way to start, in my personal opinion.
Good point. And you put a start line there, but in SAP Security, there's no finish line, right? You just start and then you run and run and never stop.
Right. Security is a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? So it's a long journey, but we are here to support the customers in that. And we are living SAP Security every day. So we know exactly what's going on in the ecosystem. And I think that's a big benefit where we are delivering services, because we can ensure you will be on point and on time.
Right. So what's in the template?
So when you download the SAP Security Baseline, first of all, you will get it in the SAP support portal. The link is here in this slide for everybody. You will download a zip file that contains the things on the right, which are some PDF documents, also a Word document that you can adapt it basically to your internal requirements, or put it into your internal requirements as well. And you get a guideline that's described in many pages in very different layers and areas. And you can do this, of course, manually, check it manually in the system. There's a recommendation that you can do it. But there's also the delivery of templates for the configuration validation from Solution Manager you can use. With that, you can automate the analysis of that. And nowadays, you also get on GitHub a template for a VOQUZ run, which is another SAP product analyzing system security. And yeah, you can also download it from GitHub, import it into your SAP Focused Run, and basically run it and do your first analysis by yourself to see how is it looking in my SAP system.
Great. I mean, reading through the PDF documents is interesting. It's education, so to say. But you mentioned configuration validation. So, I mean, just in case somebody doesn't know this, the Solution Manager is a very central system. It's connected to all SAP systems in your environment already. And configuration validation is a way to automate scanning the configurations of all the SAP systems and comparing them to some template, for example, the security template, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's one way how you can automate this.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and you have to put some efforts in it to get it up and running, but then you can use it exactly as you explained. So thanks for that.
But I think you go even beyond this template, right? That comes from SAP with your automation solution.
Yeah, so as said, it's a minimum guideline that SAP gives out to customers. There's much more in this ecosystem you need to address when you're really taking care of SAP security and you really want to focus on securing your systems sustainably. And when we are looking at the SAP Secure Operations Map, which is on the next slide, you will see this is the structure that's basically the foundation of the SAP Security Baseline Template. And SAP categorized it in 5 different layers: environment system, the application layer, processes, and the organization topic. While you will not find for every area that's mentioned here recommendations. So for example, for the environment part, there is no recommendation from SAP side, since they are focusing directly on the SAP systems itself. So meaning you have to take care of your IT security, your network, operating system database. You have to take care of yourself, and you will get recommendations on the topics above. Also not on all of them, and we will focus on 2 specifics a little bit more to give you some insights how that really looks like, and that will be the user and identity management on the next slide, as well as the secure SAP code.
So this is a snapshot of the PDF document.
Yeah, this is a snapshot of the document. I just picked out, as said, the application layer, user and identity management. And yeah, just one thing, for example, I want to point out are the standard users in SAP. So SAP always comes with standard user and password. The first thing you need to do as a customer, get or secure that. You can see it here on the below on the left side. That, for example, the user substar, or you have to take care of the dedic user for substar. It must exist, but it must be locked. Also, you get the profile parameter on the bottom below, which is automatic user substar must be set to 1. So you get this guidelines. You can do it manually, but as said, it's a long document, and checking it manually will cost you a lot of pain, I believe. And most of the cases, it's not the thing SAP consultants or SAP basis experts wants to do manually. That's why we are standing there for in terms of automation. This is just the way to go. This is the best practice on the market nowadays. It's not possible to check everything by yourself, and that also on a consistent basis, right? Because it's not enough to do a one-time analysis. In my opinion, it's the only sufficient way is to do regular monitoring on your systems.
Right. I mean, the system is changing. You have changing requirements also, but the systems are changing. There's many hundred, I don't know, maybe thousands of test points, and you have many systems. It's not possible. So automation, clearly.
You don't have experts for all of the system types you have, right? You don't have experts for ABAP, Java, HANA, BTP, Cloud Connector, and this is it. This is something where we go into the market and say, you have a reliant partner with us, and we take care of your SAP security or support you, and not only do analysis. For us, it's important to get rid of findings, right? So we are the ones sitting there with our customers and also mitigate the vulnerabilities we find in the systems, because that's what management is spending budgets for, right? For getting rid of vulnerabilities, not for great graphics we show you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so another point, as mentioned, secure SAP code. What's meant with that? It's directly the SAP code itself. So that comes from SAP, not the custom code. That's also another topic in the layer above. Here we are talking about the real code that's delivered by SAP. SAP has implemented SAP Security Patch Day. It's every second Tuesday a month where SAP releases the new security notes that need to be downloaded, need to be implemented into your system, to basically get a secure system. What happens if you don't? My colleague Sebastian had an interesting webinar about that, which you can also find on our YouTube channel. And what happens if you don't implement your security patches? Basically, the race starts, the good guys against the bad guys. You know that game, Jens. So it's important. All the information are available to the public about the existing vulnerabilities and how to fix them. So not fixing them, giving attackers basically a guideline how to attack your system, right? And so we see, for example, in the darknet, 2 or 3 days after security patches, you can get some certain tools that really specifically target vulnerabilities that are existing.
So patch day, like all the 0-day exploits get published, and that means you need to take action immediately. And everybody should have this day in the calendar, probably, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
They should. And if they don't have, if they are our customers, they get informed for sure.
Yeah. Well, or they trust you and you fix the issues.
Yeah, that's also possible. So nothing is impossible, right? Yeah. So asking or raising the question, is the SAP Security Baseline sufficient really to protect my whole SAP landscape? And for me personally, I'm giving the answer no, because as said, it's the minimum baseline. If we look at the attack scenarios nowadays we have, and the sheer quantity, right, which is really threatening, it's not sufficient. And that's why there are also some other industry standards in the market that should be addressed or should be taken into consideration. First of all, the DSAG test guide. So it's the German SAP user group, the test guide for SAP ERP systems. We got the BSI, as said, Federal Agency for Information Technology. They are giving a handbook which addresses also some specifics for SAP. Then another one is the NetWeaver Security Guide you should take care of. And of course, EU GDPR is another major topic nowadays, especially in Europe. But also it should be for all organizations doing business with Europe organizations. And we are not talking about cybersecurity threats there, but we are talking about big fines in the market. And
right, and data protection in particular, if I just may add to this, I mean, it's not a European quality anymore, so to say, to be strong on that. I mean, in the US, very strong laws have been introduced, like the California Protection Act, CCPA, that is very similar to the European Union's GDPR. So it's a global trend. The regulations are pretty similar.
Yeah, definitely. So that's what we are seeing. We have a small subsidiary in Australia, and that's what they are doing as well, right? So they are adapting the EU GDPR and for their Australian guideline in these terms. So I believe it's becoming a global thing, as you say.
Yeah. And one other comment, I mean, I don't want to go too much into data protection, but these rules apply if you handle EU citizens or US citizens' data. It doesn't mean you have to be in the country or something, but the GDPR applies to an Indian company that handles EU citizens' data.
Yeah, exactly. And this is also something that is within our platform, so we can regularly check for GDPR requirements. For example, one simple example is retention periods. So there's a certain time frame you need to keep your data, or you must keep your data, but after that you have to get rid of it. And for example, we are checking this automized by the push of a button for our customers.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So that's personally my point of view. So what's your point of view? Is it sufficient, Jens?
Well, of course not. No, I mean, one aspect is like this whole cybersecurity approach that you explained. It's kind of what is depicted in the image. it's about separating the bad outside from the good inside. You establish a perimeter. It's much more than a firewall, of course, but it's a perimeter that tries to keep bad outside and good inside. But that idea alone is not really valid anymore, right? I mean, environments are complex, networks are large, you're connected to other business partners, and you have many employees, and there's some of them might be disgruntled employees, or they might be greedy. And so not only errors happen, but also fraud happens. We have some numbers on these cases as well on this one slide. There is research from various organizations that say organizations lose between 1% and 5% of their revenue annually to fraud. And in almost all cases, insiders are involved in this. That means having a parameter and saying bad guys are outside and the good guys are inside, that's actually not the reality. It's everything is gray. It's not black and white, of course. So, and also in these cases, you see something similar to one of your slides where you say it takes really long to detect the cases. And that's the same phenomenon we see with insider cases and fraud, that it takes really long to detect them. In many cases, it's not even by monitoring or by actively investigating something, but just by chance you have a whistleblower or things like that. So also here, similar to what you said, automated monitoring really makes sense. And maybe on the next slide, we have an example of how these things work together. So what you presented is, let's say on this slide, it's the lower part. You secure the environment from bad guys getting into the environment and doing something harmful. And we discussed secure configuration and ABAP code and patches, data protection we even discussed. And then latest, starting with also authorizations, you go into saying, look, this person is an employee, he's a user, and we want to restrict access. But even then, you cannot always restrict access to everything. Somebody has to do the work. Somebody has to enter sales orders and create invoices or receive invoices. And so here we have an example of what types of controls would kind of be, let's say, missing, I believe, in your platform, which is what our tool VOQUZ does. We monitor business processes such as in procurement, from sourcing through contract management, issuing purchase orders, incoming invoices, accounts payable, through to real payments. And we have internal controls for this business process, procurement, let's say. In a similar way, maybe we can see that on the next slide, we have internal controls in other areas as well. So what we just discussed was procurement, that's on the top left here. Expense reduction, that means we help to avoid making costly errors or maybe experience fraud in the procurement cycle. But quite similar, we also help with assuring that your revenue is coming in as good as possible. Customers don't use bad payment terms and things like that. So also here, like the security solution map, this is the internal controls map, maybe you can say, from expense reduction through revenue insurance, also HR and payroll compliance, business partner screening. So we have different modules here and a library of controls that help to extend the SAP Security Baseline Template into also internal controls. And so when you say you do 360 degrees, it's just 2 dimensions. We add 1 dimension, so it's like a sphere, that we are now protecting together with SmarterSec. And I think that's kind of the interesting kind of value proposition, if you will, of the two solutions combined. SmarterSec for your SAP security and VOQUZ for your business process security, so to say, and the internal controls.
You mentioned some interesting points here. So maybe coming back to this numbers, you said internal versus external. We are always talking about the external threats, right? So what I see, the internal threat, and there are statistics out there that most likely 70% of the attacks come from inside. Yeah, and that's exactly what you mentioned. Insider information is so valuable, and you don't always have happy employees, right? Especially in huge organizations. That's always the case. And your special expertise, right, in this area of business processes is what gives us an excellent addition to offering services together in this case. And yeah, we are talking the same language, right? So
Absolutely.
that's why this partnership is so worthwhile also for the customers out there.
That's great. Yes. And so any questions, you put them in the chat, or you can reach us on LinkedIn, of course. And also, if you want to add additional questions, like mail us at labs@voquuzlabs.com, so we can answer them right now in the Q&A session together, Alexander and myself. And we see you in that session immediately now.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So hopefully there will be some exciting questions. Yeah.
Here we are. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us and staying with us. That was quite interesting, you two. And I just saw in the line of guests today, very different people from very different departments. So I suggest we actually do a little poll, do a little survey to see where everyone stands generally with the topics SAP Security Baseline, SAP Security Risk Assessment, and Security Monitoring. It's just a simple, it's 4 or 5 questions, yes or no answers. And anonymously, so don't worry about your company compliance, so we don't display the names. It's just about us sort of trying to have a feel where we all stand. I'm just going to start that now. You're going to see it on the screen in a second. So the first one is a pretty simple one. And it simply says, is SAP security a priority in your company? I'm going to leave the poll open for another 5 seconds. Jens, what do you think when your experience? Do people, have it on their table? Do they say, oh yeah, I need to take care of that, or is that something annoying?
Sometimes it's annoying. It's a very hairy problem sometimes, but I think everybody is aware of it and is more than willing to address it.
Okay, well, let's close the poll within the next 3 seconds. I think everybody has typed in their answers. Closing it now. And let's see what people say. Okay, I think that's a good sign. For 85%, it's a yes. So it's like, I'm aware this is important. It's not like leaving the door open at night while I sleep. So that's quite good. Let's just jump to the next one. So here we go. Have you already implemented all security measures from the SAP Security Baseline Template? So did you do your homework is the actual question here. Leaving this open for another 5 seconds from now. Curious about this one.
I mean, maybe somebody cannot answer the question because we did not really go through the whole list of all the measures, right? And maybe somebody has done a lot of work, but is not aware of what exactly is in the security baseline.
Yeah, if I'm actually also referring to if somebody has knowledge about this outside of the webinar, but you're absolutely right. Let's see what happens. I'm going to close this question and show you what it says.
Whoa.
Okay. Okay, I think this I would say this is a sign. So let's keep this one in mind. Going over to the second last one. And this is a bit of a timing thing. So when we were taking care of this, is SAP security on the list of your planned projects for 2024? But we all have a task list, and some of our task lists go to 2026, and we push the things we don't really like to do to the back. So I'm wondering how the people are doing with this topic, with security risks and security monitoring.
Yeah, and Alexander had this one slide where it was like a start line for SAP security, but I mean,
okay.
There's in SAP security, there's never really a finish line.
Mm-hmm.
So more like a project. It's more like a process, right? It's not a project necessarily.
It's ongoing. You start, but you never really arrive. So I'm not sure if this is good or frustrating. But closing the question now. Let's have a look what the people said. Okay.
Okay, so big plans for 2024.
You're right. And comparing it to the last one, it's not even a contradiction. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see. And the last one for this round, so we all see where we stand. you're looking at answers of around 100 people. So this is not really representative, but it says a little bit about what's going on. Well, this is a sort of multiple, it's not multiple choice, but you've got multiple answers. I'm going to put it to the screen, you'll get straight away what we mean. So are you already performing security risk assessments or continuous security monitoring for your SAP systems? And you can say, yeah, but risk assessments only. Yes, but continuous monitoring only. Yes, both, of course, because we're doing our homework. Or no, none of it, not now. Oh, there is a typo here. No, none of it, it should say. Leaving this open. Oh, there's a lot of happening here. I see it live when people type. I don't see who's doing what, but I see the percentage going up and down. So I'm going to leave this open for about 5 seconds. Alexander, do you think do people make a difference in between risk assessing and the continuous monitoring? Is that two different topics for the people?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one-time assessments like the risk assessment are many people doing. I believe continuous monitoring is coming its way. Yeah.
So yeah, so there is nothing that happens regularly. So I feel safe for today and then don't look at it for quite a while. I might have some surprises afterwards, the way it looks. Okay, gonna close this now. Let's see what you all have said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, do you want to go through that, Alexander? Your comments?
Yeah. A little bit surprising for me that 40% are doing both. So I really like to see that in terms of security. So great job out there. Keep on going. And yeah, still 30% are doing nothing, which raises the question, why? Is it a budget type? Is it a knowledge type thing? So what's the reason? So maybe we can get some questions about that also in the Q&A, also feedback on that. But that's interesting for me, yeah.
Yeah, and interesting what you said before, because in this group, it seems the other way around. So some people say, yeah, only 10% say risk assessment only, and 20 go for continuous monitoring. I'm not sure if that's sort of representative for the general experience, but yours says differently. I think this one is interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised that many are doing both. So really like to see that as stated. So happy about that, to see there's some growing numbers compared to the last 10 years.
Perfect. Thanks everyone for participating and being open about it. So we all have a bit of an idea where we all stand, and I suggest we'll jump to the questions. Let me just see some coming in via email. Okay, I've got one comment, and this is just for you to clear it all up. If you have any problems with the video, with your connection or anything, we're going to provide you with the recording, follow up with you, so you're definitely going to be in the position to rewatch this, share with your colleagues or whatever. I'll jump to the first one in the chat, and there's someone asking. We do some multitasking here. It looks like I need some glasses too, Jens, in the next time we're doing this. Which of the boxes in the secure operators map would you say address third-party solution security? Which of the boxes in the secure operations map would you say address third-party solution security? Any take on that?
Yeah, I would say many different parts. So let's take, for example, the custom ABAP code. I think it's a classic with around a regular system has around 2 million lines of code, custom ABAP code written. So that's definitely, as you heard in the talk, it's not possible to check that manually. This is definitely something that needs to be checked, automized, and addressed. And SAP has standard software for it, but there are also third-party companies out there who are delivering custom code or ABAP code analysis tools for them. We are doing it as well with our own platform. This is one thing. For example, the system hardening, checking profile parameters is another big topic you can address with that. Security monitoring and forensics. Yeah, so there are a lot of parts of it, and I'm happy to jump on a call and go in details there.
Perfect. So for now, we have an answer, a short one, so you have you're oriented. Then we have somebody who says, "Thank you for your great presentation." They're right. Thanks for that. Followed by the question, as working on SAP ECS, does this SAP baseline is to be considered as a standards template in your opinion?
Yes, it's a standard template, and it can or also maybe should be adapted by the company itself, integrate their own processes. Maybe it's going much further than the SAP Security Baseline Template already, so we can integrate what the company is doing already into the baseline template. That's exactly what we are doing with our customers in the first step. We're taking the baseline template as the template, and of course we add much more things than are integrated in standard. So because as said, for us it's a baseline and it's the start. If we are starting with the customer, we are addressing our most critical topics as well directly.
I have another one for you, Alexander, and this is might be a short answer for now, and you might get in touch afterwards, but in case somebody else is here. Alex, is your company operating in Switzerland? And do you have any references? So does anyone say that what you're doing is actually working?
No, we are operating worldwide, right? So of course our focus here is in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and we also have some customers in the area. You know, security topics. I'm not always going to name our customers unless they allow me to. So also in this case, please contact me and we will find a way to talk about it or even make a reference there. And we do business also in Switzerland to make it close. Yeah.
Yeah, just to close that here, talking about contacting, I mean, feel free to reach out to Alexander via LinkedIn, obviously also to Jens, even if you sort of address us via labs@voquuzlabs.com, we can sort of see, you know, we work as partners quite closely and see who can help in what area and to do what. And just a short outlook here, if you need more information generally, you can go down to voquuzlabs.com and see at the products, VOQUZ, what you're looking for. And obviously, you can visit over. Let me just, you see how quick this works. We're actually, yeah, we're pretty quick. Luckily, I didn't hit on something else now. So get your info from SmarterSec, get your info from VOQUZ Labs, and obviously directly from Jens or from Alexander. As you see, we work quite closely together, so that shouldn't be a problem. So I've got another. Sorry, say that again.
I just said nothing gets lost, even if it's addressed to Jens, to you, or to me. So yeah.
That's a good way to put security on the base, actually. Nothing gets lost. I'm going to print that on my T-shirt. Going over to the next question that came in via email. And someone says, some industry standards you mentioned seem to be available in German language only. For example, the DSAG audit guidelines. Is there anything in English? Is there anything for, so do we have to run this through DeepL to try and understand what's going on?
Hopefully not. No. So he's right. Most of the standards, or some I mentioned, are in German language only. That comes for the German SAP user group in specific. Also, the S4 guide is also only in German language available. So good point here. Our platform, for example, is in English language. So everything's already translated. You get all the information already in English. You get all the mitigation advices in English directly. So just come to us and you don't need to do any translation on that.
That's good. That sounds good. Sounds like a good promise, good service. I've got another one for Jens coming in, and this is actually this match. I read it while we were talking. This actually matches the query, the questions from before, and I read that out as it is. I think it's quite good. In our company, SAP security is seen as something annoying, especially by non-technical departments. Something in which people only want to invest a minimum of effort and money and sort of get rid of it. So how can I argue internally? Jens, when someone says, you know, do we really need that? I mean, we have that, we have installed something a month ago. Why do I have to get bothered with this? What can we say to people with questions like that?
Well, it's difficult to win an argument like that without really having facts on hand, I believe. And otherwise you're just, I don't know, cutting through hot air. And so I think what good tools deliver is measurable results. You have tangible insights that where you really can say, look, this is a weakness, or here we lost money, or things like that. And so I think also Alexander and SmarterSec and ourselves, we offer trials or assessments that give exactly those insights. And then you have something tangible. I mean, in case you print it out, then it's tangible. Otherwise, you get other types of reports. But you can have something in your hand and take the paper and hit them in the face with that.
I'm going to show you where to find this before you, I suppose you wanted to answer also, Alexander. So if you have a look at VOQUZlabs.com and go to products and REMQ, you can have a look at the brochures here, and all that includes a quick assessment brochure also, where you get an overview of what's included, how it works, how much it costs and stuff. So in German, we have a saying where we said, Katze nicht im Sack kaufen. So you don't buy something that you don't know how it works and what you can use for it. And that's exactly what Jens is pointing out here. I interrupted you there, Alexander. You want to add something?
No, I totally agree with Jens on that. You can only win if you have the right arguments and some facts on the table, and that's exactly what we can present to you. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to jump to the next one then. It says, we do not implement SAP security patches regularly since we do not have the resources to test everything through after patching. So do you also have solutions for that? Kind of goes with the last question also. So what do you think?
Yeah, patching, we heard it in the talk, is one of the, I would say, most critical things for SAP customers to do the efforts they have to take. I totally understand and get it, because it's a valid argument saying, hey, I need to test so many things. I don't know where to touch and who to address it to. So what we have a small tool which we are using for our customers, which is basically analyzing the SAP security patches and giving you an impact on what's happening on your SAP system when we implement that patch. We can also find out what is really or what changes in the system. So what's the thing you need to check or you need to test, and we can also find out who used the programs, for example, the last time, meaning so we can also address, so hey, this guy is spending 90% of his time, so he knows exactly what's going on and what to test. And that's how we support our customers in giving them much more information, that they don't have to test everything, but only specific endpoints.
Excellent. That was quite in-depth, actually. I have a last one coming up here. I'm going to check the chat just to make sure we didn't miss out on anything. The last one that came in per email was, can I adapt the SAP Security Baseline and integrate my internal SAP policies, Jens? What do you think?
I think it's more a question for Alexander. I mean,
go for it.
I mean, there's best practices and recommendations on, I don't know, password length. And then the company says, no, 8 characters is not enough, I need 12. So the question would be, Alexander, can you accommodate for that?
Yeah. I think we have a similar question before. So yes, you can adapt the SAP Security Baseline Template to your needs. And that's what we also do with customers, bringing in own ideas that go beyond the SAP Security Baseline Template to properly secure your SAP system landscape. If you need help with that, reach out to me, please.
Okay, that's it for this time. If you guys have any more questions now, and some questions, you know the way it is, sometimes you hang up the phone and then you say, oh, I wanted to say something and I forgot, then reach out to us, labs@VOQUZlabs.com. You're going to distribute the question, whoever it is for. If you have any inputs you want to have, you want to learn more about, and you have a suggestion what you would like the next webinar to be about, also let us know. So this is an interactive session here. We do prepare our topics from what we learn from our customers, what's important and what's actually up to date for now. If you think differently and need something else, reach out to us. Other than that, from my point of view, thanks everyone for joining. Alexander and Jens, your words?
Thank you so much, Stefan, for supporting us here and for moderating. So great job. Thank you very much. And it made it really interactive, really liked it. And thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure. And thank you to all the listeners and for all the questions and the interest. So hope to see you again. Thank you.
Alexander, it was great to have you here. Very good insights. And I think this is a super important feature. And the SAP Security Baseline Template is something really everybody should have in mind. Cool.
Thanks.
Good last words. Thank you, everyone. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.